know, Vish is just gonna be sad that she missed the Gajita opening. So I'm sorry, Vish, about that. But here I am, on my own. It's Friday, November the 7th. It's 2:00 in the afternoon out here on the Pacific Coast. Hi everyone. It's good to see you. And there's a few people here ahead of time that I recognize. No way you or however the hell it is. Good to see you. Saul Mighty is worried that I'm drinking alone, and yes, I did put a prodigious dose of Crown into my coffee. And I'm not sad. I'm not a sad person. It's not always bad drinking alone. It's good to see you, Nitty. And no, I'm not stealing any of the points on Biola. In fact, I didn't even, well, I guess it kind of, I thought for a minute about Biola, but I didn't take long. I didn't think about it very long. Good to see you, Darius Yabgal. For those who don't know, this is Cuneiform Guy, and Lawrence. And listen, I've seen some speculation about this, and I don't know. I mean, what makes you guys think that I'm replacing Vish with anyone? Like, why I can do this on my own? I can do it. Don't you believe that I can do this? That I'm capable? So yeah, Lawrence wondered about that. It's good to see you, Simone. Shalom lecholam, and hatikva to Lex Lata del Norte. It's good to see you, Holly, and Kinetic 44. Oh, I've been instrumental for you in demonstrating that Yahweh is an evil God who is not the true high God. Wow. I appreciate that. And Mestakina Akikta. It's almost midnight. Wow. You must be elsewhere. So, but you know what? I guess you guys are right. I mean, I did invite some people out. So
see, here's the thing, Dr. Kip. I knew that you would not be able to do this on your own. So I personally recruited Nitty, and I recruited a whole army of Nitties to help you through this stream, because I know that you can't do it on your own.
Behold, we're here to help.
Behold, indeed.
As Equus did remind me this morning, I actually used to do these by myself at one time. It's true. I totally did. So I'm convinced I could do it again, but that would be less fun, admittedly. So why do that? Why put myself through less fun when I have access to more fun? So thanks for being here, guys. That's nice of you.
Absolutely. And you are welcome for the help.
Yeah. You guys all know.
No respect around here. No respect.
Y'all know Lawrence, right? You all are subscribed to the Hine Network, otherwise known as the Hido Network.
Yeah.
Or the Behold Network, I think is what they call it in your country, right?
In this bad script and language right here, yes, it is in fact the Behold Network.
The Behold. I didn't even notice that it's, and you have your last name there too. Wow,
I do. Yeah, that's cool. Full name.
So
real government name here.
And Nitty with no government names, but a cool shirt.
Yeah,
and I'm kind of sad I didn't wear my Punisher shirt now after seeing that you're wearing. My Punisher shirt is even gray. So, but Lawrence, do you want to do your fit check? You did it before.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I can totally do that. The fit for today's video: I'm your mommy.
Are we gonna
right?
Are we gonna punish some bad apologetics? Is that what we're doing?
We are. Yeah, I'm gonna riptide them.
I'm wearing my I fucking love the Bible shirt today. So here's what's happening, and this is a departure for me. But this came across my feed last week, I think. And I sat down to watch it because it sort of piqued my interest. So this is I found this video over on Alyssa Childers' page. If you're not familiar with her, then that's awesome. Congratulations.
Yeah.
I'm about to burst that bubble. Actually, when Nitty found out that I was doing an Alyssa Childers response, he was practically near goddamn insistent that he be part of this.
Oh.
So Nitty has some familiarity with Alyssa Childers, and you just said too that you finished editing a video response that you're getting ready to publish.
Yeah, so I did a rather lengthy live stream about different things. I'm particularly hard on Christians now because for the longest time in American conservative culture, there was a high value placed on identifying themselves with the Constitution, being true patriots, and trying to go back to the imagined glorified past of our nation, right? The birth of the Christian nation. Well, now I believe, and what should be done by atheists and other anti-Christian nationalist apologists is to call them deconstructors, to give them the title they have given us, because in reality, they've deconstructed from their allegiance to the patriotism of the founding of this country. They've deconstructed the ideas of human rights, of the personal dignity of people, and the value of the other. And they're reconstructing this abominable, oppressive, biblical worldview. And they're allowing things like racial profiling and the injustice of this administration in in service to power, really, right?
Yeah.
And it's garnering them some more privilege and leeway to preach. Let's be honest, but I think they deserve the title deconstructors more than we do.
I look forward to
how
that.
wild and big of a departure this fundamentally is to conservative culture, if you think about it, and how hard they've called the left unconstitutional or departing from the true values of this country, when it's right in our faces that is really what they're doing, and it just reeks of projection. I can't.
Well, I mean, that's
I am a big proponent to call them the deconstructors. So
I like that. I like that plan. That's a good plan. I look forward to the video. And that's all just part of the playbook too, right? The projection. A couple more people have popped in here. Ryan Donovan is here. Simone mentioned that the content I expose her to objectively makes her life worse, and I'm sorry for that. And I do kind of feel mildly responsible for that. And I am absolutely shocked to see that the weasels are here. Amazing. Glad you made it out, Vandy. I just assume you're always working, but apparently not. So
no, the universe took a break, so he's also taking a break.
Isn't he right?
That's got to be it. No longer working.
So the astrophysics machine that he works on is in autopilot, I guess, keeping us all alive and safe. Is that how this works? I believe this is Jay. I can't tell because it's got this other weird name up here, but it's good to see you, Jay. Hot take: apologetics is a dirty word. But it seems to be replacing theology. That is to say, theology is becoming apologetics, and apologetics is making us realize theology was always apology. I'm tempted to agree with that. However, I will say this. Just say hi to Matthew Karub as well. So I lived and worked in Norway for 3 years back in the holy cow. Maya's here too. But I lived and worked in Norway back in when it was like between 2011 to 15, something like that. One of my best friends in the department at the University of Achter was an American and a theologian and an atheist. So, and he told me when we would sit down, we would go out for expensive sushi from time to time, and he was a full professor, so he always paid. But we would sit and we'd eat sushi, and when I'd talk to him about this, he would continually make the case to me that atheists make the best theologians, and he did some pretty interesting work and wrote some cool books. His name, if you guys want to check him out, his name, I'll just put it here in the chat, is Laurent Schultz, and it's spelled like that. It's spelled funny, but I wonder if he's retired now. He might be, but yeah, cool guy and theologian. I'm not particularly fond of theology, but I never held it against him. So yeah. So here we are on Alyssa Childers's channel, and I caught on to this video here. Here, let me pull it up. I'll zoom in on it. There we go. This one here. This apologetics isn't a dirty word. What everyone gets wrong. And she featured this guy named Doug Grudius, who I had a passing familiarity with. I as I was telling Lawrence, I remember seeing a big book that he wrote about apologetics around, and this was the talking point. This was the topic. Good to see you here, Chrissy. They're doing some damage control for the fact that a lot of people just don't take Christian apologists seriously. Christian apologetics seriously. Why might that be, my friends and capable co-hosts?
Because the main purpose of apologetics is to defend a certain position, basically at all costs. You don't have to be consistent. You don't have to be logical. Doesn't matter. That's where apologetics gets you. Now, I will say that you can do theology without being an apologist. That theology, like I've done work on theology without being a theologian.
My degree actually says theology on it.
Same.
But
yeah. Congratulations. And then biblical studies is a totally separate thing on its own. Apologetics is maybe a certain flavor of theology. But where they kind of pick and choose what they want to accept in their relevant facts database. And I think that's why it's not taken seriously. That's why I don't take it seriously.
I've taken it less seriously since my departure from Christianity, as I've witnessed departures from data, a bunch of evidence to the contrary, or active misrepresentations of evidence, or like what Jeremiah Johnston was probably one of the greatest offenders of overhyping archaeology or finds or what have you to justify the predetermined conclusion that Christianity is true. Another reason is that I liked your point about inconsistency. I just watched Godless Granny do a video on Greg Kokel, and the inconsistency just in one response that Kokel did to a viewer, and their inability to be consistent with biblical text is actually kind of hilarious. Saying there's nothing in the Bible that tells you how to hear from God. What? Well, I bet you can think of passages in the Hebrew Bible, Kip, that definitely speak to that, maybe in the Psalms and Proverbs.
Certainly.
Especially the calls to wisdom, right? If wisdom is an extension of God's voice, aren't there ways to facilitate that communication? I know in the Christian Testament, there's James chapter 1. If you ask God for wisdom, he's good to give it. Well, how are you supposed to receive that if you can't hear from God, or if you haven't developed some kind of aptitude for hearing for God? It's just silly. Like,
there have been, like, over the years, even from the early days, some apologetics for, well, we'll call it theology, some explanations for why, like, some prayers aren't answered. For example, in the Apocalypse of Abraham, clouds, he can't seem to hear through clouds. That just blocks the reception. Yeah. And
the God G is blocked.
I'm being serious right now. That's actually in there. But yeah, it's weird that it's clouds, right? Because Yahweh was a storm god, and a lot of the ways that he presents himself to people is in cloud and darkness, especially.
Those Greek Christians weren't aware of that by then. They just, they
figured out.
I don't know. That makes perfect sense to me. When I was a kid, I was pretty sure those clouds were solid, and I could bounce on them.
Are you telling me that Spirit Link doesn't work as well as Starlink?
I don't know what that is, but
I
mean, that guy has more money than God, so
yeah,
true.
Yeah. I do know what Starlink is. I'm always proud of you, Chuck, and Matt, and Eric, and Satan, and all the rest. So,
and I was able to read some Hebrew in the chat earlier.
Yes,
kind of.
Lawrence did okay. He should probably take my course, but he did okay. There's a member chat here from Tad. You'll have to speak up. I'm wearing a robe. Yahweh, probably. Yeah, that's probably true. Well, 20 minutes in. Haven't watched anything yet, so we should probably
let's kick it.
Get started here. I pulled some clips, as I want to do. So we won't be watching the whole thing, but I've got a bunch of things that I will have to say. So I'm just gonna make that full screen. There we go. Let me know, everyone. I think I probably have to turn that all the way up, don't I? Let me know, everyone, if you can hear it okay. Everybody hear this okay? It's good.
I don't hear a damn thing.
Damn it!
Add to the stage, bro.
God
That's
damn it!
We're here.
This is. Thank you. See, Jesus. Okay.
There we go.
There we go. right? This is what Vish. I mean, Vish does many things, but this is one of the many things that Vish does. Missy Vish, so please come back.
Oh, up the playback speed too, so you can chug through it faster.
I did put it on 1.25 already, so we might go faster.
My journey into apologetics really was really born out of a faith crisis where I was just desperate for answers and I was looking for answers. Good. And so I think that's why I've been lately kind of surprised to see some of the misconceptions about apologetics, which we're going to talk about in a moment. But first, I'd really like to just maybe talk about the real basics, like what actually is apologetics? Because I think a lot of people who listen to this podcast probably have some sort of an idea, but I want to make sure that we're defining it exactly what we mean. So if I were to just say, just at the most basic level, what is Christian? Well, maybe what is apologetics, and then what is Christian apologetics?
Right. Well, the word doesn't have very good PR because often the word apologist means a untrustworthy spokesman for a vested interest. You know, like that person is just an apologist for big tobacco or an apologist for big pharma. So but the word really means to give a defense.
They are so close, right?
Our apologetics is special.
The thing is, it does mean to give a defense, right? That is what it means. And it's used in court proceedings. It's used like all over the Greek world. But I did want on something that she said earlier. She said that she was desperate for answers and looking for answers. I think that is, of course, what apologists tend to prey on. But they're going to well, I mean, I guess we should keep listening to the clip if I want to get into that. But the basic framework of this, sure, in a more general sense, apologetics could be for anything. Like we use it in other what's the word I'm looking for? In other parts of our lives for things other than like Christian apologetics or any kind of religious apologetics. So hello Dapper. I think once they start describing Christian apologetics, I'll probably have more to say, but those are my thoughts for now.
So one of the things that came to mind as I was listening to this part of the video was that there's a fundamental failure here, I think, to recognize how languages work. Languages don't remain static. So just because a word originally meant one thing, it does not guarantee that it still means that thing. So he's going to talk here in a minute about the origins, where the word apologetics comes from the Greek word apologia,
right? Which does mean just give a defense or
give it a defense. Yeah, exactly. Right.
Does
it actually mean that anymore?
I would say yes.
Okay.
Because like in the phrase, if someone's doing like Nazi apologetics, like that's not necessarily religious, or like rape apology. These are not like religious modes of religious parts of life. So like I would still say that it can have that meaning of just of just defending
the ways. But even there, right, like the ways in which, and I think this is what I'm getting at, the ways in which we use the word today, but almost, I mean, it fits into those I would say two basic categories, where you are either part of this grouping of religious dogmatists and propagandists, or you're performing propaganda for something else that usually is widely understood to be negative.
Right. Yes. Okay. I see that. Yeah.
So I think like in principle, even the example you gave, right? Like you can be a Nazi apologist. he's going to say, if he didn't already, you could, there are people who deliver apologetics for big tobacco or for lobbyists. Was somebody mentioned that earlier? I think it was I'm probably not going to find it now. Yeah, Holly. Are apologists lobbyists? Then maybe that's a better way to think about it. But yeah, I don't know. It's but
like we only use apologetics to say when we're defending a bad thing.
Yeah. Or something that's so controversial that that it requires defending, right? Maybe that's because like we have sadly I won't say it. We have sexual assault apologists in our midst now. We don't have any apologists, strongly making the case against that because we don't have to, right? I think that's kind of the direction that I'm going and that I'm thinking of, and it's tone deaf to me from the Christian apologetics crowd that they don't recognize the reasons behind that. Because I think there's apt reasons why our language has developed the way it has. So, but I mean that's just me.
No, I see your point though. Like just because we do have at this point a negative connotation to any time we use the word apologist. Doesn't have to necessarily be religious, but yeah.
All right. Shall we continue? Anybody else got anything before I press play?
Go. Well, actually, you know what? I might have to take my dog out real quick. So
okay.
So I'm gonna hop out and then
all right.
I'll hop back in.
Okay.
Later.
I'm gonna press play.
For a claim or for a perspective. So the term technically is neutral. So there are Islamic apologists, there are apologists for socialism, and there are apologists for the Christian message. So the way I like to define apologetics, Christian apologetics, is that we're defending Christianity as objectively true, compellingly rational, and pertinent to the whole of life. There are other definitions. The classic biblical statement is 1 Peter 3:15 about having a reason for the hope that is within you and offering this with gentleness and respect to anyone who asks you. And so there are two key.
What do you think about his definition, Nitty, of apologetics?
I'm willing to just grant it. Okay. Because there are other ideological systems or theological commitments that would literally you just swap out the word like a car part. Like even socialist apologetics, you could say it's like this is true, it's a way of life, it's a framework for evaluating your status in society, blah 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 blah. Right? It's the one true framework for governmental structure and social structure, but or Islam, But anyway, there you go.
Yeah, Flubber, I have an issue with objectively true. Certainly, and it's I would say it's very difficult to make that case too. So we'll probably get into some of that as we go. I did want to maybe that's I should do that fairly quickly. The gentleman is Doug Grudius, who is he's a professor and a department chair at Cornerstone Christian University. I think he holds like a research professorship in philosophy there, and he's done training. He has terminal degrees in philosophy. I believe philosophy of religion. This is one of my beefs with Christian apologists, but just by and large,
from unrelated fields to speak on issues that.
So here's the thing, and this is something we can talk about in a minute, but just most apologists are philosophers. Christian apologists are philosophers. We see this close overlap between philosophy and apologetics. I think that makes some degree of sense. a lot of these guys don't actually do proper philosophy, even though they have training in philosophy. It's like a tool or a vehicle to service this end, and then they end up spending huge amounts of their time and energy well outside of their own expertise and their own fields, and just making a big fucking mess of everything. So that's a problem as far as I'm concerned. So but
let's see what they got in terms of philosophy here.
All right,
opponents there have an apology, have a reason for the hope, and offer it with gentleness and respect, not with arrogance or belligerence or anything like that. So the field of apologetics is very broad. I wrote a very big, very heavy, at least in physical weight, book called Christian Apologetics, 834 pages, I think it is.
Okay,
so there's a lot of ground to cover, and I've tried to do that.
Sorry, I gotta do this too, just because it's like, who cares how fucking heavy your book is? Actually,
for real, that's the Habermas 5000.
It's it's
Dr. Craig. Hold on. Why do you need something more than this, right? Like, and this is not
what
heavy.
Is that?
I can't use it. I can't use it as a doorstop. It's about 280 pages. This is Dr. William Lane Craig's On Guard. I've kept my Christian mementos, and some of it's the literature.
Nice. I have to.
There you go.
Nice. Sorry, I just got to because of that. I've got to do this just because it reminded me. Oh, let me take that off. Look at me, guys, pretending to be a professional YouTuber here. Okay, there we go. Just close that. I actually made a clip here because it's fun. So is it on the stage now? It's like, no, it's not.
No.
There we go. Okay. So just because this seems to be a theme,
How many pages is it?
That's my book, by the way. This one, it's
how many pages is it?
In total, it's 500 and
we can't listen to you because it's not 800 and some odd.
But that's like
pages.
It's only 466 pages up to the of text. The rest is like notes and indices and things. A glossary in there too. But this is fun.
You want is the new release from Dr. Kip. God's propaganda, pulling back the curtain on what the Bible wants you to see.
It's probably not quite as big as Gary Habermas's book.
Definitely
not about the size of the book, Kip. It's how you use it.
So as doorstops and paperweight, that's what I hear.
Gary's making books that actually double as weights. You can work out with these things.
Oh, that's great. No, I didn't read it.
I mean, I guess that's
easily transportable. That's what's important.
That's it.
I think that's Turek's gender affirming care for his masculine muscles is lifting Habermas books.
Sorry, I missed all that. What was that?
That's Turek's gender affirming care, is that he wants the masculinity muscles, so he just buys apologetics books.
Oh, okay.
And uses them as his home trainers.
They're gigantic. So he probably uses. He probably also uses Doug Gritius's giant book on apologetics for his workouts too.
He's got to chunk those polos.
Yeah,
go on.
No,
I've got about 10 minutes, so let's go.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah, when I was at Denver Seminary for 31 years, I'm now at Cornerstone University and Seminary. I taught apologetics every year for 31 years. So that's a lot of time studying, teaching, answering questions. I try to get out into the world as much as possible. I don't like this idea of writing a defense of the Christian faith in a fortress and then you're lobbing a bomb outside once in a while. That's an image that Schaeffer uses, but we should really try to bring the glorious message of God's work in Christ to the world and listen to the questions people are asking and try to answer them as best we can with humility, but also confidence. If we really have studied and prayed and we have some authority, some unction from the Holy Spirit, we should do exploits in apologetics. And another thing I'll add is I, again, really side with Schaeffer on this, that he says that apologetics should be aimed at evangelism. So if you explain the gospel to someone, then they say, well, that's interesting, but I think God is a universal force, not a personal being. Well, you don't just say the gospel again and hope it takes this time. You've got to go back and talk about why an infinite personal God makes much more sense of the universe.
Yes, sir.
Oh, he said doesn't believe that God is a personal force. It just went by a little fast.
He's sorry. What?
No. That's good.
Okay. So, I mean, I think here's one of the big problems that I have with Christian apologetics is the institutionalization of it. And he touches on this too, right? He makes the point. So maybe he has he's got degrees in philosophy. He's going to talk about this a little bit later too. He teaches apologetics. But he's always also throughout this interview kind of distancing himself from this, I think wisely, as an academic discipline. That's a little later. Maybe I can skip forward to it because there's a lot of stuff in the meantime and in between time. But I'll just let's watch for a bit.
In the human condition, and
there we go.
Some impersonal force or principle of Hinduism or Buddhism or something like that. So it's pre-evangelism, and then it also has the role of building up believers who are doubting.
Very important.
So Jude says, "Be merciful to those who doubt." We shouldn't bonk them over the head and say, "You terrible person, why are you doubting? Just shut up and believe." That's not a kind or a biblical way of dealing with it. Even the great prophet John the Baptist had doubts. We see that in Matthew 11. And Jesus responded by reciting his credentials as the Messiah. He said, "Go tell John that I'm working miracles, fulfilling the Old Testament." And then he built up John. So even
I think the framework at which not the apostle, but John the Baptist was experienced out is fundamentally different than the kind of doubt Jude might be talking about, or that we're encountering through deconstructors or, being evangelical. The context in which John the Baptist is doubting is not the idea of whether or not God exists, or, the God of Abraham is true, right? He's doubting if that's even what happened, or he was actually doubting anything at all, right? It could serve some rhetorical goals, or he's got this like semblance of confidence. He just wants that last little bit, right? I'd have to go over it again, but the key thing here is that John the Baptist's doubt is in the messianic fulfillment that would occur through Christ, and not whether or not God exists, and that he needs a defense for the very existence or truth of the Abrahamic God and the possibility of the coming Messiah. So
that is a super important point. And it's one that I've made in different ways before.
Apologist.
When I quite often, you encounter this idea among apologists that Paul the Apostle and James, the brother of Jesus, were skeptics that converted to
converted from what?
Exactly. Skeptics about what? So not skeptics in the way that we understand the term now. They were
not even close.
No, they were skeptical. They were skeptical about the claims of Jesus as the Jewish Messiah, but they were skeptical about those claims because they thoroughly believed in the coming of the Jewish Messiah, right? Like it's just not on the same level. You're playing a word game at this point, right? Yes. And this is where I take some
bankruptcy
issue
to it. Yeah.
This is where I take some issue, right? With reaching back into it's a commitment of the etymological fallacy, reaching back into this historical meaning of the word apologia as it was used in classical Greek literature, and then within the New Testament, and then insisting that this is all that it is, without all the attendant baggage that has essentially accompanied it over the course of the last 150 years, especially. And part of the reason why it's accumulated that baggage is because, in many respects, apologetics, and I'm not talking about all of it, but certainly a lot of it, has become a form of a grift. Lee Strobel is grifting you. Josh McDowell is grifting you. Some of these guys that I see on YouTube, what's his name?
J. Warner Wallace.
Yeah, J. Warner Wallace is another one. He's grifting you.
Yeah. So my thing is that many times these apologists have been exposed to an answer that sincerely convinces other people which undermines their claim, or so they do know the answer. They know a hardcore objection or defeater to their position, and like your position is over as soon as that's presented, and is a sufficient rebuttal. However, they will omit that as data to all their future videos and respond to much easier objections to their position or their evidence. And my biggest example of this in my own experience is Dr. Craig, and how he frames moral arguments for the existence of God. And he'll only expose, and Frank Turek as well, they'll only expose their audience to black and white moral frameworks and position them as if they're the only two ways to explain moral propositions, when there are a dearth of ways to understand morality, its grounding, and how those can actually work out in life. And so they're just flat representing the philosophy that they should know, and the highly contentious debate as to whether or not morality can even be grounded in a God, much less you have a confidence that you have access to that morality.
It's true. I should say this. Sapient Cephalopod brought up inspiring philosophy. Michael Jones. I'm still not sure. But I did want to mention that I watched a delightful couple of videos on a channel that I hadn't seen before, called Sheng Tsai Mindful Living, where he does a marvelous job of breaking down some of Michael Jones's very improper use of social scientific methodology in his debate craft. People should go and check that out. If I remember, I'll post a link at some point here. But it's Sheng Tsai, SHENGTSAI, Mindful Living. Excellent couple of video responses over on his channel. So. But yeah, people should definitely go check that stuff out. So, but I'm gonna press play. That's all good.
This great prophet, actually the greatest of all the Old Testament prophets, because he was the herald of Jesus, the Messiah. Apparently, when he was in prison, struggled with doubts. And
so he's actually talking about John the Baptist. It was a little curious to me that he called him the greatest of all the Old Testament prophets.
I thought that's what I heard.
Yeah. I think what he's trying to say is that he was the greatest of all the Hebrew prophets, maybe.
Because there's oh my god, I know there was that whole period of time where they were the age of prophecy is over, right? So
some think that.
Yeah, maybe they're
talking
about it in that
period.
way. But the
The
thing is,
400 years of silence.
That still would have been too big of a gap. So,
yeah.
All right, guys. My little guy is here. He's ready to play with me. His movie is over. So yeah, well, thanks for having me on a teeny bit. Yeah, thanks for also playing that, because now I have a new connection to the Christian Testament doubters that I want to take with me as a tool to talk about maybe on my own live streams when I encounter apologetics who use that idea of these were skeptics, right?
They were not.
And we should pass that on to other atheists who might not have put that together yet. If you guys think that's actually a valid thing, that's worth reconsidering and maybe putting in response videos, is the idea of what does it mean for them to have been skeptics, and what does that mean for us to be skeptics now? So there you go.
Nice.
All right.
Thanks for popping by, Nitty.
Yeah,
we'll see you on next week on Saturday.
Yeah. All right, later.
All right. Bye. Yeah. So DH personal, yes, thank you. John the Baptist was the last prophet before Jesus's new covenant. I expect that's what he's getting at. It was
that would make sense. Yeah.
Was worded awkwardly.
Right.
But I do that sometimes too.
You know, Jesus didn't say just believe or have faith in your faith or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
He gave the people that came to talk to John reason and evidence, said, go tell John that there's good reason to think I'm inside.
When I started researching progressive Christianity and more specifically deconstruction, I noticed like what a bad rap the word apologetics gets in those communities. And I think that it's based on a bunch of misconceptions about what apologetics really is. And I love the way you put it, that apologetics is a neutral term. When we think about the conversations we have with people when we're sharing the gospel, and like you mentioned, they might have an objection that's really truly something they're wrestling with in their own heart. Like you could be sharing the gospel with somebody and they might say, well, I could never believe in a God who, and then fill in the blank. Or they might say, well, yeah, but you're asking me to believe based on the Bible. And I've heard all that there's all these contradictions in the Bible, or the Bible, it can't be trusted in the way that it was copied. Well, congratulations. From the minute you open your mouth after that, you're doing apologetics, because essentially you are giving reasons for why you can trust God, why the gospel is true, why the Bible is reliable, and those sorts of things. And
so
that's not what apologetics is. So like giving reasons, they have a word for that. And some people might disagree with me here, but from at least from if they want to go down this etymology route, that was what pistis was also used for. That's another
marturio might also fit that category as well. Pistis.
But yeah, pistis is also used for it, because there's like the phrase pistis ek biou, and it's translated as like proof from life, which is just personal anecdotal kind of reason for believing something. So like if they want to take the etymology route, then it's still it's not great.
So I want to say something here. I think I don't think she's suggesting that people don't like apologetics because they don't understand it. And I really don't think that's it. If anything, they're missing the point here.
Right.
In my experience. Go ahead.
Yeah, because if someone calls you like an apologist, derogatory, they will. Yeah, and they're doing it because even in your own, I haven't read this guy's work, right? But let's say he's a good theologian. I could read a theological work, and if it makes sense, I'd be like, okay, he's doing good theology, because it has an internal logic that is consistent. That is a possibility. I'm gonna say that. Let's just keep that up there. I've seen, at least if you're arguing for like one theological position for another, that they can be internally consistent. So I could say that. But if you start being inconsistent and start defending something for the sake of defending it, then like even in the face of all this stuff, then it's just bad. Then it falls into what they would think we are saying is apologetics.
Yeah, no, that's good. So I noticed that I have a super chat here that I should read, and I'm very sorry, Alpha Centurion, that I'm late in responding to this. Anti-apologetics is, but yes, thank you for the money. Anti-apologetics is my thing. Someone owes me royalties. They are on their way as we speak. I'm making a note of this now. Give Alpha Centurion royalties. Yeah. There, we good? Okay.
Good note to take there. Although I did want to point out something.
So
I was listening.
I was thinking a little bit about this over the last few days as I was thinking through what to do today with this video and this stream. And like I always approach this because this is again part of what I find really troubling is, you know, they touched on this. She said it. Everybody does apologetics. I think in one degree or another, that's probably true. It's certainly true within a Christian context, a highly evangelistic Christian context, where people are put into these situations where they feel pressure to provide explanations for some of the things that they believe or promote. And let's get real here. I think this only becomes a problem with promotion. People would just leave you guys alone if you didn't bother broadcasting to the entire world the so-called objective truth of your message. So like that's part of the reason for the pushback in the first place. But and I would say that on its own, that's fine, and she's right. It doesn't take, and here's this is probably the key and the clue here to you with part of what the problem is. It doesn't take any special training to do this, and that's maybe not a good thing, because the minute this becomes a problem is where apologists start insisting on and seeking out academic respectability for whatever it is they're doing. You have started from your conclusion, and you are now compiling evidence which you believe is in service of your conclusion. That's just not how anything works in the academy. This is why we don't have apologists for we don't have apologists for chemistry, right? We don't have apologists for English literature. We don't have, or do we?
I mean, I don't know. Chrissy might know more about that one, but I would say, like, let's say would we, or would someone like Will Duffy, would someone like FTFE, would they count as globe Earth apologists? Maybe in the minds of flat earthers, they would count that.
But there's no, yes, that's true. And this exists entirely within this space of the internet, right?
Sure, yeah.
No one in a university department,
right? Yeah.
Is doing
no one's actually taking seriously
globe apologetics, right, and I think that's where the dividing line is here. There are, and I'm going to pull this down for a second, just because I've got where are my notes here? I actually have notes, guys. So, like, there are actual departments of apologetics, but they all have like one thing in common here, right? So here's a couple. So there's a department of apologetics at Houston Christian University. You can actually get degrees. You can take courses in this stuff. You can get degrees. Here's what it says: apologetics is a branch of theology that defends Christianity against objections. Christian apologists give reasons for the hope that is within us, 1 Peter 3:15, to help people come to faith in Christ. We challenge false ideas that form obstacles to belief in Christ, that give rise to disorder in human persons and society. That's a weird statement. Within the church, we help Christians to have a stronger faith and live out Christ's call to love God with our heart, mind, soul, and strength. So it's
when the task is to be staunch, when the task is to not change your mind on a position, that is where we are in, like, you know, keep it the hell away from me zone. Like, because in the sciences, there are not, like, because I'm sure you know, there's no such thing as proof in science. You only have proof only exists in math. They are constantly trying to disprove things in science, and when something holds up to all scrutiny, it's good science. And the thing is, if something changes that opinion, then the scientific community will shift over time to change its collective mind. We can see this with, I think it was called, what, the K2 boundary? Was that it? I think that's the name of, like, the impact that killed, like, a lot of the dinosaurs.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah, that wasn't accepted right away. They had to gather a lot of evidence and then make good arguments. And then over time, now it's, you know, well accepted. And it's not about keeping a certain position. It's not presuppositional. KT, sorry. Oh my God, thank you. KT boundary. My bad, chat. My bad. See, I don't do this. I don't do this.
I also, yes. So I think, like, John Gooderham makes a good point here, that I think this is a good way to think through this question as well. Biblical archaeology started like that. Here is the Bible. Now let's go find the evidence to prove this book is history. It took a lot of years, but they realized this is the wrong way to go about it.
Yeah.
Right?
When William Albright started this shit, he would interpret all the evidence he found in light of the Bible without any, like, really good critical thought. And the thing is, like, a lot of very, like, they've obviously discovered some very cool things, but you know, after so many years, what's it been now, 70 years since, basically, like, the opinion of archaeologists, as the commenter noted, has totally changed. We're like, this is not, like, it's not consistent with the Bible. So yeah, I actually wanted to do a video on Albright. Yeah.
Yes. And here's the thing too, right? In his lifetime, after starting this project and after working on so-called biblical archaeology for a number of years, Albright came to conclude this doesn't work. Like, we got a bunch of shit wrong. We have to recalculate, and we have to rethink a lot of what's going on in the biblical text, because that's what the science is pushing us to do. And that's the difference here, right? Is starting with your hypothesis, as Albright did. And if you're a good scientist, then you're recalculating and you're reevaluating on the basis of the evidence, which is not part of the apologetics program. It's just not. Before I bring the video back up, actually, maybe now's a good time to so here is a not that, no, I want a window. So here's an excerpt from this giant book on apologetics that Doug Grudius wrote.
As far as I know, his is bigger than yours.
It's much bigger than my book by 2 times. It's like two of these.
Do you feel emasculated?
No, not at all. Because you know what? It's not about the size of the book, Lawrence.
That's right.
How you use it.
That's right. So I tell myself that all the time.
It's all about that. I should make this a little bigger, maybe. So this is part of, you'll see this. This is in a section called Apologetics Apologetics' relationship to theology and philosophy in a subsection called Apologetics and Biblical Interpretation. And he's got, I think, 6 or 7 points to make. I'm just going to make this bigger so everyone is not straining too much. But now my page is going to get messed up. I should have done this after I switch pages. Okay. So we go here to point 5, I believe. Yes, and I'm gonna it starts on the bottom here, so okay, 4th, 5th, 4th, there it is. Okay, up on the top of the second column here. I hope everyone can see this. Look at what he says here in this paragraph. Since the one and true God is the primary author of the Bible, all the affirmation of Scripture agree with one another, and all are true. This is known as the analogy of faith. The Bible interprets the Bible. For example, a statement in Luke will not contradict a statement in Revelation. When critics claim that the Bible contradicts itself, we must ask what the critic has in mind, and then consider the basis of the challenge. When the Apostle James says that we are justified by works and not by faith alone, on the surface, it seems that he is contradicting Paul's teaching and that justification is by faith alone. A closer look reveals that James is speaking of the verification or confirmation of our faith when he speaks of works. Good works demonstrate that a true faith is at work in the believer. Paul likewise writes that faith will produce good works. Thus, there is no contradiction, and the critic's mouth is shut for now. This is apologetics.
Yeah.
This is starting from the conclusion. This statement right at the outset is one that you just cannot work with in an academic setting. It is a non-starter.
Right. You can't just say, my source text is true by definition, and then use that source text to prove that your source text is true.
Exactly. Or even just so, it becomes an intractable rule, right? The rule says that the book under all circumstances must be accurate and true. That's just not how we do things, and this is part of why this is a big part of the problem. So.
And I would say that, like, there are plenty of contradictions in the Bible. So, like, he can point to something that isn't a contradiction. And the thing is, I get on atheists a lot for this. When, like, a lot of the lists of biblical contradictions you'll find, they're filled with bullshit contradictions. They're
nonsense.
Yeah, but there are plenty of real ones. Like, my position is, like, we don't have to make up contradictions that aren't there. We can just use the ones that are already there.
They're already in there. What day was Jesus executed on?
Right. Not only that, was it after the third day or on the third day? What was
who killed Goliath?
Yes. What year was Jesus born? Was it before 4 BCE or after 6 CE? Like, there are very real contradictions in there that there's just no getting around.
What did he say on the cross? His last statement, his last words. What was the reason why Saul lost favor with Yahweh? These are legitimate, actual contradictions,
right? Yeah,
in the text.
How was David introduced to the story?
Yes,
yeah. I would like to also point out that, if he was saying that, can you pull up the book again? Are you able to do that?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, because I think he was talking about how. Hello, Kitty. He was talking about how there was. How was it?
It's coming.
Thank you.
There you go.
Yeah, when all of Scripture agrees with one another, and all is true. That's of course it's begging the question there, But I'd also like to add that like a lot of this stuff, even if it's not like a direct contradiction, you still run into a problem, because I remember hearing him earlier talk about how it was written through the Holy Spirit, right? Through the guiding, through the help of the Holy Spirit. And when it comes to like it being written from God, there was a very interesting book. I forget the guy who wrote it, but the argument is that when it says that Scripture is God breathed, there it means life giving, and I forget the exact passage that it's in, but it's like the one verse that says that all Scripture is God breathed. That's the one that we usually translate as inspired. That's number one. Number two, if you look at the gospel accounts, and like you see, like if you also start with the presupposition that everything was written with the guidance of the Holy Spirit, you run into a problem, because there are discrepancies in the narrative, even if they're not directly like contradictory. They are written quite differently, right? Like some changes between, like, if you look at the synoptics, some of them, like from one gospel to another, is very much like, sometimes it's just a single word change that doesn't really change the meaning of the text. But if it's like a quotation, which one did he actually say? And if you're doing this with and then of course there are entire verses that are included in these things, and it's not consistent. That's the issue. You cannot consistently apply this rationale to everything.
Exactly.
Like I have a copy here of the double tradition passages. So it's in Luke.
That's in big in you. The double tradition. Oh yeah, there we go.
Yeah, Q synopsis.
The Q synopsis. Very nice.
And these are all in Greek. They're each on each side of the page. And the thing is, like, a lot of this is like the same, but also there's like, very minor changes. They don't really change the meaning of the text, but it's like, if you are writing with the guidance of the Holy Spirit, why are they there in the first place?
Correct. Yes. And it's not just internal contradictions either, right? There are just flat out contradictions with what we know from history, from third party sources, from the archaeological record, within the text. So glossing over the problems, and I know this is having an answer to every problem is not a strength within, certainly not within my world, within the field of history. And this goes on. I mean, I spend a lot of my time countering Christian apologetics for predominantly the Old Testament and the Hebrew Bible, right? And then on the other side, a lot of apologetics for mythicism. And what all apologetics has in common is that there are answers to every question, to every issue, to every problem. On the surface, it feels like this is a strength, that this is a bulwark, a point of convincing that these are strong positions. They're not, because they're one of the more healthy responses within any scientific discipline is just saying that you don't know. And I try to do that as much as I can when it comes to my understanding of what's happening in a variety of the Old Testament texts that I deal with, texts that I work with. I'm pretty comfortable with admitting that I just don't know. Lots of times. Yesterday, Rabbi Chana and I read Psalm 110 for Kiryat Brit. I opened the stream by saying, I don't know what the fuck is going on in this psalm. I just don't. And it's so fucking weird. I'm suspicious of anybody who says that they do. It's kind of like that. I am suspicious of people who have answers to every question. And that's what apologetics kind of pushes you into the impossible position of doing. Just by nature of the discipline. Or I feel dirty now actually calling it a discipline. Just by nature of the activity. Let's say that instead. So you good to continue with the video?
Yeah.
All right. Let me bring it back up. If I can find it. There it is. Okay. I need to add it to the stage. I'll get this right eventually. There we go.
Things. And so what I always tell Christians is you're already doing apologetics. And frankly, if we're going to be intellectually honest, so are the progressive Christians and the deconstructionists. They're doing apologetics as well. They're not doing anything different than we are, but we're utilizing several different disciplines. Ones like some that you mentioned, like biblical scholarship, the study of history.
So I would agree that when it comes to this specific argument, this specific discussion about, I guess, the truth or the falsity of Christianity, everybody is doing the same thing. Because you're either making a case for why you believe it or you don't. I tend not to. I'm not a confessing Christian. But when I get asked, when my father asked me about this last year at Christmas time, about whether or not I believe in God, I just told him that it's just not something I think about. It's not a question I find interesting. It just doesn't have any effect on my day-to-day life, so I just don't see the point in pursuing an answer to something that I'm fairly convinced a question that I just can't even answer in the first place, right? But when it comes to some of these other tangential issues, which always end up in the service of apologetics, like science, like sociology, like history, like philology and textual criticism, then these are actual scientific disciplines that and there's effective rules in place for conducting the research in these fields. And at that point, then no, you've moved beyond just doing apologetics for your ideas, and you've now started to get into providing evidence for why scholarship is working in the direction that it does. I'll just press play.
Theology, science, philosophy, whatever it might be, to be able to use reasons that are rooted in objective reality to make sense of what we're saying and to defend the claims that we're making. So I appreciate you saying that.
And what I do, I use a method that could be called classical apologetics, or in another way it can be called cumulative case, and that is where you draw from a lot of different lines of argument. So there are a lot of very strong arguments for the existence of God or for theism, cosmological argument, design argument, moral argument, and that's one strain or one line of evidence. And if you've established theism, then you've defeated pantheism, atheism, polytheism. And then you can say, well, which of the monotheistic traditions is the most well supported by the evidence? And then you get down to Judaism, Islam, and Christianity. And now
there's a few things here, honestly.
One of the major things there is, even if you could prove theism is true, that doesn't mean that, like, polytheism or even pantheism,
he's defeated them.
Yeah, that doesn't mean he's defeated
right? Like it's so weird.
This is a claim I actually hear from Muslim apologists a lot, that like there's like you can't have like multiple gods, because to them like a god is singular and all powerful. But that's not how most of history has viewed gods.
No.
So
right? Yes.
It just doesn't work. Like, even if you were able to prove that there was some form of deity outside of this ontic reality, then there could still be multiple of them. And like I don't try to spend time anymore arguing about whether or not God exists. We've been having that debate for thousands of years, and it's gotten us literally nowhere. So I don't even like. There's no chance you or I or this guy on YouTube or in whatever giant book he decides to write. It's just not gonna happen. We've tried it. Like the arguments are there. They have been shown to be either inconsistent or they usually boil down to argument from ignorance or special pleading. That I have not seen a theistic argument that does not boil down to those once you get to the real meat and potatoes of it all. There might be. I just haven't seen them. But there's a lot to unpack there, right? And while they use fields of biblical studies and science to defend their faith, again, they're using them inconsistently and often in the wrong way. Like when they call DNA a code, it's not a code in the same way.
Or a language.
Right, yeah. It's just not the same thing. It's a helpful analogy for us. Nature will do whatever the hell nature's going to do. It's our feeble human minds that try to throw everything into boxes. So I do have plenty of issues with what he said there.
Yeah. So I mean, we need to, but I just want to acknowledge. Thank you, Hypatia, and yes, I hope everyone. I try to make this an inclusive space. I don't care what you believe. I care that your beliefs are beneficial to you and to ensuring that that you're making the world a better place. That's all I care about, right? This is a space for people who fucking love the Bible, and who are super nerdy about critical biblical scholarship because it's super cool. But this question of apologetics does directly affect that. Something needs to be said though about this, making this second step now. Once you've established monotheism, which I seriously doubt, then you move on to proving Christianity over the claims of Judaism and Islam. And I'm, a lot of Jewish people will tell you, who beyond just insisting that Christianity is offensive in the premise to Judaism, it's just from a theological level, from an historical level, from an evidentiary level, from a truth claim level, it's essentially Judaism with extra steps. So I'd be very interested to know what Doug thinks. I mean, I guess it's just the resurrection of Jesus, I suppose, is the only thing. But honestly, it's it's weird. It's weird to see them sort of pit against each other like that. Got a couple more super chats here. Godwin for $4.99. Thank you. Apologist, don't worry, I can explain anything, or I mean everything, which is the MO. Yes, that is true. Tad is Mad says this space is for people who love the Bible or trolling Kip. No books, Davis, specifically, or both. Me and just for you, dude. I got this one queued up.
Kip Davis has written no.
There you go. All right. Go. I'm going to press play.
Start appealing to the reliability of the Bible, its supernatural character, the teaching of the Bible, the gospel, that it gets the human condition right and offers us a reasonable hope for the future.
See, this is so much part of this too, right? As a biblical scholar, this is all very troubling to me. the truth claims about the Bible, that it gets the human condition right, that it's historically reliable. All of this is stuff that I mean, in the first place, historically reliable is such a nebulous idea on its own, right? I mean, certainly there are parts of the Bible that reflect actual history, and there are many instances in which the Bible is our only source for reconstructing history. So I mean, it is what it is, and we do what we can with it. But then on the other side of this, you have a whole bunch of fiction in there. It's just not. It's not such a simple book that you can boil it down to this one thing. You know, it's perspective of the human condition. I mean, what does that even mean?
Yeah, this human condition thing. So like it would have been reflective of, like, you know, human thoughts. Not just like human thoughts, but like it would have been reflective of the author's thoughts, right? And their conditions, their feelings towards things. But like in the same way, you could say that the you know, you could say Buddhism is true. They got the human condition right, because like I happen to agree with
Right.
that life is suffering, and that the way around that suffering is to, well, I mean, they have a, I expand it to be like, you know, they say have no attachments, right? And I would say, you know, if you stop just believing things are important, then or don't have expectations, you won't be disappointed. Like, so you could arguably say that they got like the human condition right, but you have to again understand that you have to put it in its historical context. Like, you need to understand what was happening at the time and what would cause these feelings to arise, and you would have to combine that with the pre-existent views on theology at the time.
Yes. Sparrow the Sissy has it right here. The text is mostly reliable to show us the kinds of debates people were having back then. No question, right? But it just, you know, thinking that's the other issue here, is that as a biblical scholar, as someone who is deeply invested in the history and the reception of the text over time, it's very easy to recognize. And I mean, you've been studying the Bible for a while now, Lawrence, and you can see this. Everyone who opens the text up and starts to look at it critically can see this, that there is not just one conversation going on here. This is a collection of many different voices who are not always saying the same thing. So, I mean, just one of the things that I spent some time, and I'd like to do some more of this in the future, actually, but one of the things that I spend some time exploring within the book, the one that I haven't written, that you can purchase now at Amazon in multiple formats, and the same one for which I'm nearly finished, the audio book. But one of the things that I explored a little bit in the book is these different voices that survive within the text that are both promoted. There's, on the one side, you have this very strong pro House of David royal ideology that's connected to the temple and to the eternality of Jerusalem and you know, the strength of Yahweh and all of these things. And then on the other side of that, you've got this other anti-monarchic voice, this pro priesthood, pro prophet, sometimes pro independence voice that survives in echoes in the text. It's not as strong, but it's all there, right? Apologists will look at this stuff and try and mash it together and just completely misunderstand it and read it wrong, and it pisses me off when they do that. So, by the way, next week, Dr. Dan McClellan will be here to hang out with me on Friday afternoon with me and Vish, and we're going to be doing some of this. We'll be looking at a video published recently by Gavin Ortland on Messianic prophecy, which survives in this kind of a climate through failing to recognize the variety of voices at work within the Hebrew Bible texts and attempting to just mash all of those together in order to create a Frankenstein monster. So, where is it? There it is. Okay, I'm pressing play now.
I always think about these issues with the mindset of the average Joe, because that's me. I'm the average Joe. I'm not the person that has the masters in philosophy or apologetics. For the most part, I'm the average person. I know that for me in my life, it was the evidence that I really needed the evidence at a certain point in my life, because I think I was operating from a bit of a presuppositional point of view before that, where I sort of began with the presupposition that the Bible is true and that Christianity is true. And that kind of was unraveled with evidence, the opposite evidence. And I needed evidence to the contrary. This might lead us into one of the misconceptions about apologetics. And one of the things.
So, we just read this bit in Doug Grudius's book, right? This is the presupposition that the Bible is true. And then everything must conform to that. But I think this is part of, I taught for many years at an evangelical Christian university. I think I've told this story before that in the last, I think the last position that I had there, I was there for 3 years, and I had an office that was right next to a philosophy professor who actually ran. I wasn't a program, but he was effectively a Christian apologist. And this is where my impressions started to form at this point pretty strongly, that this is all pretty ghetto. I'm not convinced that there's many people who do end up converting to Christianity. I'm not convinced that there's that many who do so on the strength of apologetic cases and arguments. My suspicion is that most people do this because it meets needs in their lives that are significant.
That's a lot of it, I would say. That is what.
Not that it doesn't ever happen, but I think most of the time.
Yeah, like for the average Joe, yes, I would absolutely.
The average Joe,
say so.
I think. Go ahead. Sorry.
I was just going to say that there are definitely people that I've spoken to, and like whenever we've talked about like arguments for God and all that stuff, they have fallen back on like hope, right? Like they've fallen back on this, like, I need like some sense of emotional, like maybe emotional stability is the wrong word for it, but like they need some kind of personal like something's going on in their lives, right? And they need something to hope for. So they have this it's already kind of in their lives, but it really ramps up in times of strife. Which is, it's from a utilitarian perspective, sure, that's how religion has been used a lot. But I would say that when it comes to looking at all the available evidence and coming to conclusions, what people never think about is that you need a model. You need a historical model for all this stuff, or hell, even a theological one. You just need a model. And the more you have to go outside of that model to like Occam's razor, right? Like that's what you have to do. Like make a model, or like, maybe you can get it from someone else, but like you have a model, and then the more and more complicated it gets, the more and more stuff you include from outside of that, it's just it makes it less likely to be true. The more stuff you have to assume, I should say that, right? So I feel like a lot of people don't understand the concept of having a historical model.
Yeah, right. It's and part of the reason for that is some of this stuff is actually hard. Like it's hard work to do history. and to think through these questions, right? Which is why a lot of people just won't do it. And I'm not saying that I think everybody necessarily should. I recognize that most people won't.
Right. There's I forget his name, but one so there's this book on the synoptic problem that I was reading that it was called the synoptic problem 4 views, and it gave 4 pretty major views for the synoptic problem, right? So you have your 2 document hypothesis, you have your 2 gospel hypothesis, you have like the Farah hypothesis, but then another one was like an oral hypothesis, right? But it's the model. While I get what what the guy was arguing for, he was saying like, listen, the development of these texts is probably much more complicated than we can write down and model out on like any sheet of paper. And the thing is, there's probably some truth to that it is far more complicated than just like, necessarily one directional or whatever. But then when he constructs this model for it, it's just overly complicated. And it's a bunch of stuff that you would have to spend a lot of time arguing for without any solid answers. So you're kind of caught in between understanding what he's getting at as a concept and having a model. So like it is difficult work. I entirely agree.
Yeah. So I want to focus in, because I really think this is a priority and a principal point within Christian apologetics. I think much of the effort is geared toward helping Christians feel better intellectually about things that are intellectually untenable. And this isn't true for all Christians, which is why I think you'll discover that there are plenty of Christians, there are plenty of religious people who share much of my frustration and distaste for apologetics, because it's not, for a lot of people, it's not an intellectual exercise. It's something quite different. But I think where Christian apologetics gets most of its traction, this is why, apologetics books are, well, I mean, back, not so much anymore because bookstores are gone. But, when I was younger, if I wanted to buy an apologetics book, I had to go to a Christian bookstore to do it. If you want to learn about apologetics, you have to go to a Christian school to do so. Because it's not something that is out there in the so-called real world. It's mostly about helping evangelicals feel better about many of the things that they believe, perhaps tenuously, in the face of better evidence. So I think this is precisely what she's getting at here. She leaned into apologetics when things started to slip, when she actually started to learn probably actual science and actual history and, actual literary method when it comes to reading the biblical texts.
that I hear is people will say, well, apologetics can't save you. And, I agree. Apologetics can't make a dead heart live, but it can lead somebody more toward the water. Like you can lead the horse to the water, and of course you can't make him drink. But I think there is a great value in bringing evidence and knowing that there are people out there that really have intellectual blocks, even that they can't even see the cross. And I can't remember who said this, but it's like apologetics is a way that we can clear some of those obstacles. I think that depending on what the person actually needs in the moment could be the right method to use. I probably don't understand, the deep ins and outs philosophically, but I know the average person doesn't either. And so I think that just whatever is necessary for the particular problem, I think is the way to go.
We need to serve the poor and build up the church, preach good sermons, pray for people, and also have a reason for the hope that is within.
See, I think that's all good, right?
I also think that it may be like, yes, that stuff is good. Yes.
Yeah.
But what she said before was very predatory. Like, I don't think it's on purpose.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but like the whole
Explain.
like kind of appealing to what someone needs, right? Like I think I think now I'm thinking about it, she probably meant it in like if someone wants evidence, you give them evidence. Maybe like that's my most oh god, what's it called? That's my most charitable way of interpreting that. But it could, yeah, it initially came off to me as kind of like predatory,
transactional, almost, right?
Almost, but like it's like if someone is like down on their luck or something, then you appeal to their.
We have an apologetic for that.
Yeah. So that's how it initially came off, but I'm gonna go because I don't know what exactly she meant. I'm gonna go with the more charitable conclusion.
Yeah, no, that's probably smart. I got a couple more here. Hank says for I believe Australian $9.99 Australian, apologetics doesn't convert people because it isn't evangelism per se. It's a retention strategy. Yes, I think predominantly that's what it is. It's a baby Bjorn for beliefs. Who's baby Bjorn? I don't know what that is. Do you know what that is?
Yeah, I know who Bjorn is.
Okay. See, this is one of these parts of the stream where I feel like there is a pop cultural reference that I'm missing that Vish is there to help me out with, and now you're letting me down, Lawrence.
Listen. I know I claimed that I could help with this, but I lied. And
no,
luckily I'm not part of a religion that says I can't lie, so I lied.
Hey. All right. Well, I'll the weasels are still watching. My peer review of this stream is that, quote, it does not engage with the field/discipline, end quote. You therefore failed peer review, thus passing peer review, which is honestly the way you do it. That's the way it's done here. So thank you, Vandy, and we'll see you next Saturday for budget. Not this weekend, guys. Not tomorrow. Next Saturday. So that's
baby Bjorn is a harness you use to carry your infant around and keep your hand. Okay, gotcha. That's
see, that's why I don't know what that is. So I don't. Yeah, it's been a long time. I actually, truth be told, my kids are all adopted, so we never had infants. So
okay.
Right. I get that. I get that that get out of jail free card. Lil of all trades, thank you for treats for Dagan and double for Kip. No Kyle introduction for Lawrence for not recommending me.
So I did when I
you for what?
When I invited everyone to become part of the Nitty Army, obviously Lil was included. Obviously.
Yes, my Atkinson, you can do whatever you want. So and then I'm gonna press play.
And contend earnestly for the faith, given once for all to the saints, and take every thought captive to obey Christ. I've got those scriptures in my mind about how we do apologetics and how we do spiritual warfare related to ideas. That's an important area. This is not just a bunch of stuffy scholars sitting down at their desks or their computers and hammering things out. It's spiritual warfare, because there are, as Paul says, doctrines of demons. And there are demons behind the doctrines of demons who want to establish the lie and oppose the truth. As I look back at my ministry and career,
that's okay. So that's crossing. That feels like that's crossing a line to me.
Yeah, it's just a way for them to go like, well, don't listen to the false prophets kind of thing, right? It's just another way to discount certain conclusions that do not line up with, again, your presuppositions.
Yeah. But this is classical tribalism.
Yeah.
Right.
I know he's like, I get he's
literally
using language.
He's using what?
I get he's using like biblical language to describe this, but it doesn't change the effect of it. Like, even if he doesn't actually think that we are demons, like the fact that all scholarship that does not agree with you is inherently demonic and part of this greater spiritual warfare just appeals to the presupposition again.
Right. Yes. Here's the thing too, right? And this is where this kind of stuff gets difficult and potentially dangerous. He knows what he's talking about. You and I think we know what he's talking about. Not everyone does, though. So as soon as you start throwing that kind of terminology around, doctrines of demons, ideas. What did he say? Did he ideas from? I don't remember how he put it now. But this is where you're venturing onto potentially precarious territory, where you're just othering other people and other frameworks, intellectual frameworks.
This was the same kind of reasoning that was used against, like, Copernicus.
Right. Yeah. Really, eh?
So, like, they've been doing this for forever, right? And it's not like Christians didn't have, like, ways around things, right? Like, if you read, like, Origen or Augustine, they are going to interpret a lot of this stuff allegorically when it doesn't work, right? Yeah. And some Christians will say, oh, it's ingenious. I'm like, that's not ingenious. That's a cop-out. That's a cop-out. It's like there are very clearly allegorical writings in the New Testament, but it's abundantly clear when it's an allegory. Yeah. But like either way, it kind of like, so they have ways around this stuff, but they just kind of devolve back into like, it's all spiritual warfare, right?
Yeah.
So you gotta, like, you know, be ready. But also, I would also like to say, Paul makes a big deal of, like, obviously, like, you should stay in the position in which you are called, because that's when you're most useful to God, right? But one of the conclusions of that is, like, you know, how hard should you be trying to convert someone? Because, like, if it's not the time for their conversion, then it's not, right? So, like, how hard should you really try? Like, that's why a lot of evangelists, or maybe not even evangelists, a lot of Christians, like, they view their only role is to share the gospel and not push it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, the James White types. That's yeah. True.
I've had exactly no classes in apologetics. I didn't go to seminary. I had a class on modern theology from Carl Henry that was tremendous back in 1981. But everything I've learned about apologetics, I've learned by my own reading and listening to lectures. They call that being an autodidact, kind of a self-learner.
Yeah,
but there's so many resources available now at so many levels. Like when I was a young Christian, let's say in the 70s to mid 80s, most of the apologetics was at a fairly high level and there wasn't a lot of bridging material. Now we've got so much at so many different levels, all the way from very high academic work, like what a J.P. Moreland would do. And you've got apologetics for children, you know, like Mama Bear Apologetics, and you have apologetics and worldview training for high school students through Summit Ministries in Manitou Springs.
Let's talk about another misconception. It's this perception that
on that point, I just wanted to, so I do want to, and I'll pull this down now for a minute here, because there's a few things I want to talk about. First of all, you know, tailoring the fact that the apologetics is being tailored towards children and towards high school students is troubling to me always, because it feels like these perform blocks to what I feel is like a critical problem within our culture already, in how poorly we develop critical thinking skills, in how poorly we develop research methods and source quality identification skills and these sorts of things, in particular in the current climate in which we live. So I mean, I find that troubling and tragic. But I did want to, you know, this is one of these points and this is one that stuck out to me when I watched this the first time. Doug makes a strong effort here, on the one hand, to sort of distance himself from apologetics as a quasi-academic enterprise pursuit. I think for good reason, because it's not. He's smart enough to recognize that. He talks about how he has degrees in philosophy, and I wanted to. I thought it was useful to maybe take a look at a little more closely at his academic distinction and his training. So I have his CV here that I'll share somewhere. There it is. I think that's it. Okay. It's not very big, is it? It's just a Word document.
I don't see anything.
I never use. Oh yeah, sorry. Thanks. There you go. I'm not very good at this because I don't use Word, but there's a place here where I can zoom. Oh, there it is. I can zoom in. Okay, let's do that. Make my window a little bigger here too. Right. So areas of specialization: philosophy of religion, / apologetics, world religions, history of philosophy. He wrote his dissertation on Blaise Pascal. And areas of competence in ethics, philosophy of technology, new religious movements, and jazz studies, apparently, which is cool. But I mean, something that I have noticed with a lot of the apologetics pipeline is it tends to come through the philosophy of religion, and I'm oftentimes not entirely sure what to do.
Oh my God!
With that, what?
He's got a master's from the University of Wisconsin-Madison.
Yeah.
I went.
Is that where you went to school? Yeah, man.
I went to the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee, so it's the same. It's part of the UW system. Oh, but
right.
That's crazy. Okay.
That's wild, eh? So, but I mean, he's got quality credentials, which is something that I did want to point out here.
Yeah,
right.
UW-Madison is a good school. It has a very good biology department, by the way. They do like a ton of great work on biology in general, but like evolution especially. Like they really knock it out of the park with that.
So I'm not sure. I know they used to have an excellent ancient Near Eastern studies department.
They still have the ancient Near Eastern studies department.
Is it still good?
I don't know.
I don't know anything about it anymore.
That was one of like while I was looking for where to go for a master's. This is definitely a possibility because it's like a 2-hour drive from where I live. So it's a shit commute. I don't know if I'd be able to work that out, but it's a possibility.
Okay. Yeah. So he something else here I noticed was he's got listed here under his MA that he did graduate theological and biblical studies at New College, Berkeley. Do you know about this place?
You said about Berkeley?
New College, Berkeley is not Berkeley.
No.
So this is like, do you remember? I did a stream a long time ago now. I think almost 2 years ago about Jeremiah J. Johnston, who talks a lot about doing his PhD at Oxford, in Oxford. He talks about doing his PhD in Oxford. He was actually at one of these centers, these evangelical centers, which happens to be in the city of Oxford, but doesn't have an official affiliation with it. So this is what New College Berkeley is. It's in San Francisco. It's a sort of a center that's a graduate center that's been set up where you can take courses, and do theological training, I guess, while being in the vicinity of Berkeley. It's one of those sorts of things, right? Something that I noticed here though on his CV, he's got tons of teaching experience. He's an older guy. He's taught piles of different courses, and some of these master's theses that he's supervised: scientific apologetics for the Indian community, a critique of biologos on evolution and intelligent design. So that's kind of interesting. Apologetics and postmoderns. So I wanted to get down to his publications here. He's got refereed articles right at the top, and he's got lots of these ones in Bibliotheca Sacra, Journal of the International Society of Christian Apologetics, Journal for Baptist Theology and Ministry, the Journal for Trinitarian Studies and Apologetics, Journal. I said that one already. I think he's got a JETS article, Journal of Evangelical Theological Society. So like lots and lots of these, yes, peer-reviewed theology journals, but very specifically conservative evangelical theology journals all across the top. His two most recent publications are in this journal called Academic Questions. So he's got one called Critical Theory and Six Logical Fallacies, and another one called Multiple Choice Tests, Machine Grading, and the Decline of Knowledge. So both those sound like super credible, interesting papers. I'd never heard of this journal, Academic Questions, which isn't saying anything because I don't spend any time in philosophy. For all I know, this is a philosophy journal. But I did some digging around, and I discovered that Academic Questions is I'm just going to put that down because it's going to put something up here. Is the output for the official journal for this organization that I had never heard of before, called I'm just pulling it up here. Sorry, guys. The National Association of Scholars. Has anybody ever heard of these people? The National Association of Scholars. It says here.
I only heard about it when you mentioned it in the pre-show.
Yeah. The National Association of Scholars upholds the standards of liberal arts education that fosters intellectual freedom, searches for the truth, and promotes virtuous citizenship. Those all sound very laudable on the surface, but these are kind of buzzwords that also make me suspicious. Anytime I hear about the pursuit of intellectual freedom, usually that makes me think about activists who are working, who feel like they've been marginalized by things like you know what I mean, like
perhaps you could say there's
someone like I think about what's his name, Lawrence Krauss, Richard Dawkins, these kind of people.
Perhaps you could say there's a fatwa against them.
Yeah, some of those guys. Oh, I see what you did there. That's nice. Yeah, somebody recently suggested that there was a fatwa against them. So I clicked on and I looked at their reports and some of the projects that they're working on. So there's like a whole list here on the side: academic freedom, corrupting the university, costs of college, foreign influence, ideology on campus, Title IX, the 1620 project. Is this raising any red flags for anyone besides me as I'm looking at this? By the way, the 1620 project is the 1619 project, but fact checked. So it's a rich collection of scholarly voices gathered to refute the New York Times 1619 Project and provide broader pictures of American history. We are proud to feature these diverse topics in essays, podcasts, video interviews, and transcripts. So, yeah, I mean, it's basically just, I mean, it's seriously, it's like a right wing, think tank, right?
It certainly sounds like that.
Certainly does. I've got another one here. I pulled up when I was looking around at this place. I found this. This is from the. This is an article by the president that he published just a few days ago, October 28th, 2025.
Maybe you should
Peter W. Wood. Oh, thank you, Lawrence. That's why you're here. Look, if you weren't here, I'd be going for a long time before realizing that. Yeah, it's true. So it's very important. So the title of this article is why universities should welcome and sign Trump's compact. The decline of higher education is accelerating.
I have one word for them. That's not one word. I have a lot of words for them. Shut the fuck up.
Thank you. But we don't have to read very far on this. The decline of higher education is accelerating. Trump's compact could stymie its demise. On October 1st, the Trump administration sent a letter to 9 American universities offering a compact for academic excellence in higher education. As of this writing, 7 of the 9 universities have declined the compact, and numerous academic associations and individual scholars have objected to it. One university, the University of Texas, has accepted it, and one, Vanderbilt, has so far declined to take a public position. I have no doubt that members of the National Association of Scholars have a variety of views about the merits of the proposed compact, and I won't pretend to speak for the organization as a whole. His own view is that the compact is a constructive proposal, and I'm just scrolling down here a little bit to
literally this is like, oh, just bend the knee. Like, no, fuck you.
Yes.
We're not fucking bending the knee.
Yes.
Like literally Trump is trying to rewrite history. He went after, what was it, the Smithsonian?
Yeah.
Fucking insane. Like, it was like, oh, they just portray American history as this terrible thing. I'm like, yeah, because it fucking was. Like,
yeah,
we need to be honest about it, and you can include other perspectives on this stuff. I'm not against that, but trying to rewrite history to be like, oh, it wasn't that bad. Like, yes, it was fucking that bad.
Yeah. So this there's this one paragraph here I wanted to focus on. So in the background, he talks about not really knowing who Trump was beyond Trump University. But then he says here, most of us would never have heard of Trump University had it not been turned into a political fodder by his opponents during his first campaign for president. As president of the National Association of Scholars, I viewed Trump's coming presidency as a period of possible reprieve from the ever-intensifying politicization of higher education during the Obama years.
Oh, perhaps, my God.
I thought we would get a Secretary of Education who would undo the vicious weaponization of Title IX under Obama's Office for Civil Rights. I saw my own task as president of the NAS as keeping the hope for more extensive reform in higher education alive. And indeed, for the first 3 years of Trump's first term, little happened that suggested otherwise. The Black Lives Matter movement gathered momentum on campus. Ta-Nehisi Coates,
about BLM. Oh my God.
Kendi, Robin DiAngelo, and Nicole Hannah-Jones amplified Black grievance on and off campus. Climate catastrophists continue to use their professional perches to escalate their pseudoscience of environmental doom. So I mean, this is the national, the National Association of Scholars. This is the organization who's publishing academic questions.
We're just questioning. No, you're not. You're in fucking denial. Oh my god.
Yes.
You're in fucking denial.
Yeah.
This is why do we live in this reality?
I don't know. So all that to say, Doug Grudius is publishing articles in evangelical apologetic journals, pseudo-academic fodder, and he's publishing articles in Academic Questions, which is the publishing branch of this right-wing think tank whose sole purpose seems to be opposing Title IX and the 1619 Project and responsible environmentalism and science. So I don't know. Good job. It doesn't really commend me very highly to his scholarship. So yeah. So
like,
I
don't know if he like necessarily agrees with all the stuff.
Maybe not, right?
But at the same time, if that's the only place he can get stuff published,
I mean
nowadays, right? Because he published in other like journals before, but
yeah. So, and maybe it's just me, but usually when I'm invited to publish in a venue, or if I'm seeking out a venue to publish, if I don't already know it, that's one of the first things I do. Who are these people? Why? Is it really a good idea for me to publish my work here? How credible is this? How much of a hearing? Like what is this serving? So I try to go as mainstream as I can, almost every time. So, by the way, I've been asked to review a book for the Journal of Biblical Literature, which is pretty cool. So, and it looks like an interesting book. But yeah, I'm gonna bring the video back.
Okay.
Anything new in the chat?
Yeah. So Ember just alerted me to the Sixth Circuit just issued a decision elevating, quote, biological pronouns, which aren't the thing, they don't exist, over the health of school children. Oh my god. Okay. So this is what we're fucking doing now. Yeah, our society continues to debate whether biological pronouns are appropriate or offensive. Just as it continues to debate, there's no such fucking thing as a biological pronoun. I fucking swear. This is the collapse. No. This is the collapse of fucking like of intellectualism at all. Like, oh
yeah.
Oh my fucking god. Like,
yeah.
This is so stupid. Right. This is so fucking stupid.
It really is. It's very stupid. Okay, I want to there's one more thing I wanted to look at in this video. I'm going to jump ahead a little bit here. And switch gears a little bit.
There are so many disciplines. You could
did I put it back up? I did. Okay. Look, I did it without you even having to say anything, Lawrence.
Just focus on one little bitty point of something like textual.
Okay. Scroll forward a little bit more here.
And people saying things like, "Oh, evangelical apologetics is just, almost like they think it's silly or stupid, or maybe just like a little children's book. This is just the points of indoctrination. Just repeat those, and we'll call that apologetics." But I think that's a really big misunderstanding of what apologetics is. Have you encountered a misconception like that?
Oh yes, I have, and recently, very personally, because I interacted a little bit with a deconstruction pundit by the name of C.J. Cornthwaite, and he did a video on why he thought apologetics.
Are you familiar with C.J. Cornthwaite?
No, I am not.
He does some good stuff. He has a terminal degree in biblical studies from the University of Toronto, and publishes a lot of good videos on YouTube. People should check him out. Lots of it is deconstruction stuff. Lots of it is New Testament. You'd probably like a lot of what he does. Lawrence, and he has interviews with scholars on his channel as well. He recently had Helen Bond on, and I think he had shoot, what's his name? The far air hypothesis. Mark Goodacre. Sorry.
Mark Goodacre. Yeah.
Forgot that. Yeah. So
I do like Mark Goodacre. Although I'm not a far hypothesis guy, but I do like Mark Goodacre.
No, I'm not either.
He's a very good communicator.
He really, really is. I think he's smart as hell. But
I've actually been, if anyone's interested, I've actually been really into Mathean posteriority recently. What
does
Robert
that mean?
McEwen? Matthew last. So Mark.
Oh, okay.
Luke.
Thank you.
And then Matthew. And no necessity for a Q. Yeah, this is Mathean posteriority, an exploration of Matthew's use of Mark and Luke as a solution to the synoptic problem. Robert McEwen?
Nice.
Is that how you say that? McEwen?
That's how I would say it.
Right, yeah. Cool. And I think there are a lot of very solid points in here. So I've been a fan of that recently.
Cool. Very cool. So you're moving away from Q these days.
Yeah, I think the thing is Q doesn't necessarily have to be like a document. Also,
correct.
Yeah. So like even Craig Evans has said, like it does not necessarily have to be like, it's usually portrayed as like a sayings gospel, which I totally get why. Like we have a copy of a sayings gospel, so they exist.
Yes, we do.
But the it doesn't necessarily have to be that. So like even under Mark Goodacre's even with the far hypothesis, you can argue that there is a Q because he still appeals to tradition a lot. So like you could still argue that is Q. But I think Mathean posteriority just works better. I think it just explains the evidence better. But that's for a very different time.
Possibly a different channel, but cool beans. So let's hear Doug's account of his exchange with CJ Cornthwaite. It's funny how he says it.
It was bad for Christianity. I think he identifies as some kind of a Christian at this point, but there's not much left as far as I can tell. He was talking about if you really study.
It's not up to you.
Gatekeeping Christianity, gotta love it.
Yeah. It'd be nice. Yeah, and this is one of the first things I learned when coming out of evangelicalism was just how gigantic the Christian world is and diverse the Christian world is, right? And I felt like it was a dramatic improvement just in my own Christian life. I was a Christian for a long time after I left evangelicalism, but it enriched my life, and it got me to this point of recognizing that so much of the theology is so malleable that it is difficult to pin down this thing that we call Christianity as one thing. And usually it's like you just kind of have to take people's word for it when they tell you.
Right.
That's how they identify it. That okay.
Yeah, if it works for them, it works for them, right?
If it works for you, fine. Stop trying to tell people who they are.
Because then you go into the whole no true Scotsman thing.
Yeah, you do. Yeah. So CJ Cornthwaite.
The Bible, you see it's full of contradictions, and the biblical canon came together in some kind of unreliable way. I think he makes that claim. So I watched the whole thing. I wrote a response on the YouTube page. It had 5 points. And then I started to look at the comments to what I said. And there were things like, oh, of course he would say that. He teaches apologetics. Okay. Yeah, I do. So is that sort of like being a thief or a pathological liar, being an apologist? And of course, I have no degrees in apologetics. They're all in philosophy. Mm-hmm. So I looked at some of those comments, and then also CJ did a response video. I only watched part of that. I responded to part of it. And then the same kind of comments came in. They're very flippant and superficial. In that case, you can either continue to interact with people that are using ad hominem arguments and just trying to insult you with no consideration of your credentials or your arguments. And the arguments are what really matter. more than credentials. But credentials mean something. You can't make someone intellectually serious if they don't want to be.
Right. Yeah.
But you can turn away. Jesus said not to cast your pearls before swine.
Ouch.
And I don't like to think of people as swine, but there's some forums that are just not appropriate for this kind of thing. I knew the late Walter Martin, the great countercult apologist, and a very courageous character, and a character in many ways. And I was early on in my ministry, and I was doing a lot of work about the New Age movement, like my books, Unmasking the New Age, Confronting the New Age. And there was somebody I won't name who's a Christian who's accusing me of actually being a closet New Ager. It was just crazy stuff. And I talked to Walter about this. And he said,
now,
well, what you need.
Yeah.
Now look who's not a real Christian. Doesn't seem like there's much left, buddy. Oh my God. Like the thing is, like, first of all, welcome to the internet, buddy.
Right.
Second of all, like, you can have these conversations and discussions, but when it comes to YouTube comments, don't expect much out of them.
No,
don't expect much at all.
Right?
People don't even like listen to the arguments of the video before they fucking comment usually.
Nope.
So the they take stuff out of context on purpose and blatantly like misrepresent things. Lots of straw manning. But the like if he had like actual points, hopefully in the response video, those would have been addressed. YouTube, I have learned, is not like the place to have that discourse. It
sure is not.
You can post this stuff, but you like, because I post what I think is pretty good academic stuff, but I'm not looking to engage on the YouTube platform about academia generally. Like, I can talk to like you and I can talk about some of this stuff, and we could do it publicly, but the space is just not built for that. Like, people's attention spans are so short. Like, they will rarely watch something all the way through before coming to their own conclusions. Like, it's like on some of my longer videos, right? Like my biblical cosmology video, right?
Great video, by the way. Everyone should go watch it.
I appreciate that. I went into a lot of stuff. I went very deep. But the thing is, because of the platform, I couldn't go as deep as I wanted. Like, I could have added, it could have been twice as long if I included everything, all the research, all the arguments. So I just included the best. I just included the stuff that stood out the most. And even then, people are only sticking around for like 20 minutes. And not even. Like, I think I can look at exactly how long people are, like what percentage of people are actually watching from beginning to end. Like, you can actually see those statistics.
You can.
So let me pull it up for you real quick here.
Okay.
So I am currently checking my video here, going to the analytics. Where is it here? Under engagement, I think. Well, you can respond to some stuff while I find it.
You could make a 14 lesson course out of it. No way, yo. I think my course was it was a 14-hour course. I saw there was a member chat here from Redim. Good to see you. No true Scotsman would use a no true Scotsman. Spoken like a true Scotsman.
So
here we are.
Yes, I have it up. It says, it gives you a little note. 43% of viewers are still watching at around the 30-second mark.
Right? Yes.
And then if I skip all the way to the end, see how many people are watching at the very end. 13%. 13% of people who have watched that video actually watched it all the way through. So
13%.
Right. This is not the platform to do this kind of stuff.
Oh, it so is not.
Yeah.
Which is why, I mean, I think we've all done this. Like, I have left comments on other people's videos when they make mistakes about the text. I don't expect much in terms of engagement from other people, and certainly not from critics. It's usually pretty. I certainly don't get butthurt about it. When it comes to my own videos, my position is that once I've made a video, unless I've made mistakes in it, I'm probably just going to leave it alone. If people make responses to the videos that I make, I sort of have it in place as a policy that I'm not responding to responses to the content that I make, just because it's not the venue. I don't think it's all that productive. I have had at least once a scholar engage with the material in a video that I made in the comments, but also frustrated that I'm not choosing to engage in the comments. And at that point, it's like, it sort of feels like this is where I should write a journal article, right? Like, that's the place to do it. If you've got a scholarly bone to pick, that's where you go. That's where I would go. So it just oh yeah, you're flagging your cosmology video.
Yeah, and there hopefully people guys. Like it and subscribe.
Yes, please. Yeah. Like it and subscribe to Lawrence. So like you're so right about, like, it has its uses here. I like YouTube because I feel like it's a good platform for disseminating information to the general public and for engaging with an audience that's really, just as nerdy as I am, which is cool, right? That's a big part of why I do this. But these are the limits. That's the limitation of this, right? So it always, when I hear people complain about how they were treated in the comment section of a YouTube video, come on, like, that's girl. But it got me curious though, so I went and dug it up. So Doug wrote this wall of text here on
this is exactly like a Simone wall of text.
It really is. It really is. And listen, I'll tell you the truth. I love you, Simone, so much. You know that. Well, and I will also admit to reading every word that Simone ever writes on every one of my videos, which is a lot, guys. It's a lot of reading, and I love it. It's fantastic. But again, you don't see Simone coming out and crying about how she's treated in the comment section of a video. So, but I don't know. So this is what he has to say. This fellow, Mr. Cornthwaite. By the way, CJ has a PhD from the University of Toronto in I believe it's biblical studies or it's theology, but like, it's a serious degree though. And yes, I am ever so appreciative for your devotions to the algorithm.
Just this guy's first point. I sorry, I read ahead.
You read ahead.
Yeah. He's like, oh, this guy makes a lot of logical fallacies, right? And then his first point: biblical inerrancy is not an absurd position, since it has been held throughout the history of the church, and because the challenges to it, such as gospel contradictions, can be addressed by harmonization
strategies.
Oh my God, this is exactly the same Origen and Augustine just cop out bullshit. That's number one. Number two, he is committing an appeal to tradition.
Yeah, he is.
So, like, guys, come on.
Yeah. So I don't. Sorry, I had a. You can harmonize just about anything. right? There's ways you can do it. Should you?
They've tried gospel harmonies, and there's always some issue.
Yeah.
Let's think about Tatian.
They're not always. I mean, you can. I'm saying you can.
Yeah.
But then it does get pretty absurd, right? And I think that's probably what CJ's getting at, is that the harmonizations and the gymnastics are absurd. That like you have to go to some pretty silly lengths. I like to think about the one because I'm not so much in the gospel stuff, the account of Joseph being sold into slavery in Genesis chapter 38. 36. I don't know. It's not 37. I know that, but it's on one of the sides of that. So because it's composed of sources, it's a mess. It's a fucking mess, because the Midianites are digging Joseph out of the pit, and then he is taken by the Ishmaelites to Egypt, where he's sold by the Midianites in Egypt, right? Like it's just because it's just mashing together these sources and not because I just don't think the author was operating on a different level. He wasn't altogether that bothered about this, right? So, but the apologetics for this are wild. It's like, well, the Midianites pulled him out of the pit, and they sold him then to the Ishmaelites, who took him down to Egypt, and then another transaction took place where he was returned to the Midianites before they then again sold him to, like, come on. When you're doing these sorts of gymnastics and jumping through these sorts of hoops, right? This is what makes it absurd. Yes, you can make these harmonizations, but should you?
Right.
Yeah, that's so I mean, that's point one. Point two, the speaker repeatedly refers to his opponents as stupid and as addicted to certainty and so on. This is the ad hominem fallacy. You should stick to arguments and not attack character. He says evangelicals attack the character of people they disagree with. Not necessarily, but he definitely does. I don't know. I didn't actually watch.
I didn't watch this either, but saying someone is stupid is not necessarily an ad hom.
And I don't know.
An ad
neither
hom
is
would be
addicted
like
to certainty.
Right, yeah. That's the addicted to certainty might just have been a conclusion that he reached. But like calling someone stupid is not an ad hom necessarily. Like if you said you are wrong because you're stupid, that's an ad hom. But if you are wrong and you're stupid, that's just an insult, which is not logically fallacious.
Yeah. So number three, and I mean that might be part of it too. I find a lot of times calling certain positions of theology stupid or arguments stupid is totally legitimate, without necessarily internalizing it. But anyhow, the Christianity advanced by the better apologist defend is not a little box of beliefs, but historical Christian orthodoxy. Lawrence. That's a loaded term.
Yes, it is. It's the ones that said they were right that we agree with were right.
That's right. Yeah. However, this does have the boundaries on the nature of God's salvation and Scripture. Interesting. I cannot go into it, but to reject evangelical apologetics because it defends a shriveled and tiny little box of beliefs is simply untrue. That doesn't fit Carl Henry, Francis Schaeffer, C.S. Lewis, William Lane Craig, or J.P. Moreland.
Just to be clear, first of all, I don't know why I keep saying first of all. So in his first point that I didn't even mention, he brings up F.F. Bruce's book, The Canon of Scripture.
Right, yeah.
That book isn't all that great. Read Lee Martin.
It's pretty old now, too.
It is, yes. Read Lee Martin McDonald's book.
John Barton.
Sure,
has written a good book on the New Testament as well. That one's also pretty old, but yeah.
But yeah, Lee Martin McDonald's The Biblical Canon is way better, and he addresses a lot of Bruce's points.
Yeah, right? So it just, Number 4, he is worried that apologetics reduces Christianity to a rational pursuit when there is much more to faith than that. I absolutely agree about that. This is the straw man fallacy. To defend the faith rationally is not the same as reducing the Christian faith to arguments and assent to propositions. But without the truth content of Christianity, it is a knowledge tradition. I mean, I guess it became that at some point. There is no Christianity to believe in and to enjoy. I have always emphasized that doing apologetics is a spiritual discipline that involves spiritual warfare. Again, moreover, I don't think that's helping his case. Moreover, arguments themselves may not lead people to humble themselves before God, and people can humble themselves before God without apologetics. One might approach apologetics as reducing Christianity to rational argument and assent, but there is no need for any apologist to do so. Thus, I don't know if the objection fails just because you don't have to do it. I think the point that CJ is getting at is that because this is sort of the way I look at it, apologetics kind of developed as modern apologetics kind of developed out of this reaction to modernism, really, and to the scientific method, and to really the development of biblical criticism was a big one in the mid to late 19th century. Towards the end of the 19th century, the beginning of the 20th century, you have the publication of the Fundamentals, which was specifically designed to address this problem and to make a rationalistic case for Christianity, effectively using the tools of old rationalism and attempting to intersect with the scientific method and historical criticism, but with the conviction that you could do so while maintaining certain tenets of evangelicalism, right? So I suspect that's where CJ's going with this, that it tends to overemphasize that instead of some of these more some of these other elements of Christian faith that some people find more healthy and helpful. So number 5, he rejects apologetics that defends practices in the Old Testament such as slavery and war as obviously stupid and merely examples of confirmation bias. As someone who has spent a lot of time engaging with apologetics on slavery and genocide, I would have to agree that
if you're defending slavery, you have a problem.
And you really do.
If you're defending those things, you just have a problem.
Or genocide. It's true, right? And I would say this too. One of the ways that apologists do this is to downplay what's happening, what's the function of these texts in the first place, in order to turn them into something that they clearly were not, which is probably, it's historically problematic, and it doesn't serve scholarship, which is why scholarship have a tendency also to ignore this stuff. This is fun though. He doesn't engage with the work of scholars such as Richard Hess from Denver Seminary, who is a trained scholar of the ancient Near East, but a lot of his work is questionable and problematic. Or Paul Copan, noted non-scholar of the ancient Near East or the Hebrew Bible. He's a philosopher. Nor does he mention that Jesus endorsed the authority of the entire Old Testament. What? Where?
Oh boy, there's a lot of debate. I'm reading a book on this right now. It's called Jesus and the Law in the Synoptics, or in the Synoptic tradition. And there are certainly times where it seems like there's an endorsement of the whole law, and then there are times where there really isn't. Yeah, we've seen Matthew 5. Yeah. So let me just say that there has been debate around this. So he's saying this as if it's like this kind of solid point. No, there is debate about it, and there has been for a very long time.
Yeah, right. That's what I always understood. Wow. So, okay. And then finally, he seems to think that if you really study the transmission of the New Testament manuscripts and their literary nature, you cannot accept inerrancy. I mean, if you do really study them, it's difficult. No. Or you have to you have to invent new ways of understanding inerrancy, or you make an inerrancy such as I mean, the way the Chicago Statement did this is invent a position of inerrancy that's effectively not falsifiable by insisting that the text is inerrant only insofar as it existed within the original manuscripts, which nobody has, and we wouldn't know even if we had them.
And we have and we have done our best to reconstruct them. We have a lot of manuscripts. So like this, unless barring some new discovery, this is about as close as we can get.
That's it. That is it. So textual criticism is a rigorous discipline, true. But scholars such as Dan Wallace, famous promoter of first century Mark, have argued that the variations we have in manuscripts are relatively minor and affect no doctrine of significant point of fact. But Dan Wallace is only arguing for a text that he can extend back to what? Like the late first century? Would he say that? I don't know. The thing is, there's the text, and then there's whatever was behind the text, right? And that's usually when it comes to what I'm doing. That's a lot of this. I wrote a whole book about this. God's propaganda.
Davis has written no books.
I wrote a whole book, actually. Sorry, I need to be faster on this, but
Kip Davis has written no.
Actually did. So, God's propaganda, pulling back the curtain on what the Bible wants you to see. That is the point of the book, is that we have texts and they're wonderful, but you have to read them really carefully. And if you're reading them historically critically, and if you're reading them with an eye to philology, to function in the literary artistry within the text, you're going to recognize that there's a whole world that gave birth to these texts. And these texts are not always straightforward or what's the word I'm looking for? Intentionally accurate in their descriptions and portrayals of their world, because so much of the text is propaganda. It just is. So yeah, an older but solid treatment of this by F.F. Bruce. You mentioned the New Testament documents are the reliable. Craig Blomberg, scholars such as Craig Blomberg accept the idea of a Q document behind the synoptics, but still defend inerrancy somehow. Again, it's
that's tough. I don't know how you do that.
So the speaker commits the fallacy of false dichotomy. Not sure that he does. Either one, you don't address literary issues in the synoptic problem in order to hold to inerrancy, or if you do, two, you address these issues and must deny inerrancy. I don't know. Do you understand what he's saying there?
Let's see. Either you don't address literary issues of the synoptic problem in order to hold. So either you ignore the issues that would cause inerrancy, or you address these issues and must deny. Okay, Yeah, so he's saying that another option is, of course, you can answer them, right? And get to inerrancy somehow. I don't know how you do. I don't know how you do that.
I don't know.
Like, you have to be blind to quite a few things.
Yeah. So, but this is I mean, I think this is sort of the case in point here of one of the things that Alyssa Childers complained about in this video, which I think is something that a lot of us have been saying all along. This is exhibit A of the fact that there's not actually anything new or interesting here. This is apologetics. It's the same arguments that get, the same bad arguments about the text predominantly that get repackaged and dressed up a little bit. But when you get right down to it, there's just not anything new here. It's pretty much the same stuff. But so that was his comment. But he did also say that he was upset because the responses that he got to his comment were really mean.
Yeah, shocker on the internet.
People called him names, said, well, you just teach apologetics, so what you have to say is stupid. He said that a lot of people were thrown around ad hominem. So I looked, right? I checked that entire comment section. And now I know YouTube culls a lot of comments. So there probably is stuff that that has been missed, but this is literally the best that I could come up with. Someone liked it right away. Someone liked his comment. They said this is a comment everyone should read. Someone else said, during my first week of college at an evangelical school, my intro to philosophy professor told me that by the end of the term, I'd see why apologetics isn't real philosophy. It took me longer than that, but boy, he was right. If you fail to understand that philosophical apologetics is pseudo-philosophy, it's because you don't understand the nature of philosophy at a basic epistemological level, even if you are employed as a philosophy professor. It's pretty damning criticism, but the experience holds for me on the side of biblical studies. This is, but I don't see anything terribly mean or untoward or necessarily wrong there either. So the next comment, same commenter here. And don't list informal fallacies. Dismiss the academic standing of a YouTube video creator and sign off professor of philosophy. It makes you look embarrassingly small. Ouch.
This guy's so old. Oh my fucking god. Okay, so if you just read the next one, right? I just want to read here. I just want to thank you, Doug, for this long and long-winded comment. The response video responding to each point in this comment is excellent, and it drew me to watch this video, and I feel fortunate to give it more views and credence. All thanks to your overwhelming and arrogant comment. And then he's like, there is no substance in your comment, only sarcasm. Like, yeah, dude.
Yes.
Sorry. Welcome to the internet.
Yes. Yeah.
Like, even if you're right, you're gonna get cooked.
You're gonna get cooked. That's just the nature of this place. It's serious stuff here on the internet.
Freaking hellscape.
It really is. So yeah, I don't know. I was it didn't commend me very highly to Doug Grudius, I'm gonna say. I probably won't finish reading his book, his gigantic 836-page book, because who has that kind of time, anyways? But
right, yeah. You have
waste.
the next Carrier book to read.
Oh God, don't remind me. So those are hard to read, not because they're any good, but because they're not. So yeah.
See, the thing is, if I find his stuff easy to read, I think he's a good writer, like genuinely. Like
yeah,
he writes in a very easy to understand way.
True. Yeah. Yes, that's probably true. So and that's probably why I think his popular level stuff is better than his academic stuff, because
right, yeah.
When I read his academic stuff, I feel like I have to stop after every sentence and then go and read a shit ton of secondary literature that he cited in the footnotes, because I don't trust that he's understood any of it.
Totally get that, yeah.
Because he'll make a point, right? He'll say, well, this is the way it worked in early Judaism, and all these scholars agree with me. And I'm like, well, no, that's not how it worked in early Judaism. And now I'm looking at these scholars, and I can't imagine how any of them actually agree with you. So now I have to actually go track down this stuff, because yeah. So yeah. So yes, right. It's true that is coming. So I don't know what. So some things maybe just to wrap up here in terms of the video and Christian apologetics and why I did this today. When it comes to things like I tried to think about this relative to my own discipline, to biblical studies, right? When it comes to biblical studies, I'm not trying to I'm trying to promote critical biblical scholarship, which isn't just one thing, right? We're committed to certain tools and presuppositions when it comes to reading the biblical text, and that basically this text was written by people, which is a reasonable assumption. These people lived in certain places and at certain periods of time, and a big part of critical biblical scholarship is discovering just that. Who were these people? Where did they come from? Why were they writing what they were? And then beyond that, I have a tendency, like when it comes to historical claims within the text, I am looking for the best naturalistic explanations that I can find for, and naturalistic explanations that fit with a larger picture of whatever it is we know about ancient Near Eastern history of the period. So, you know, these are the things that I'm committed to. But when it comes to the text itself, I'm not trying to defend anything, but the conviction that I have that I think the Bible's pretty cool and that people should read it. Like, that's it.
Yeah, you can skip First Chronicles 1-9, but like other than that,
sure, yes, agreed. But you know, I don't feel like I have to defend anything. I don't feel like I have to promote apologetics. For what I do is I put forward evidence. I talk about the language. I talk about what these particular words or this particular sentence means on a careful read, maybe at a deeper level than what our English translations afford us. I talk about, the archaeology and what the facts on the ground have to say in terms of how they intersect with the claims of the Bible and how we understand that relationship. Like that's what I'm doing, right? So when it comes to academics, here's where the difference is. Apologetics has arrived at a conclusion, And it's all in the service of promoting and preserving that conclusion. Doug Grudius wrote in his book that the Bible was written by God and is always right. That's what he wrote. He is committed to defending this point with every fiber of his being, which is not something that scholars do. That's just not what we do. We're using the tools as responsibly as we can to follow the evidence.
And just to be clear, even if you are like a Christian scholar or a Jewish scholar, like you can have the opinion that the Bible is true and God wrote it or inspired it, whatever.
Absolutely.
But that's not what they're ever arguing for in their writings. They're never going to put that as point number one. I'm right and you're wrong. Like that's never going to be in there.
Nope.
They don't use that.
It's true. So I thought I'd finish with an example I was thinking about as I was preparing for this stream. We all remember a few years ago that Michael Jones of Inspiring Philosophy made a documentary video about the Exodus and attempted to make a case for the Exodus as having occurred in the 15th or 16th century BCE. I never get the dates for the old Exodus people right. So he made this video about situating historically the Exodus and the conquest in the 15th, 16th centuries. He was severely criticized by a certain now disgraced Egyptologist that we all know and love.
9 hours.
Wait, weren't they buddies?
They are now, but this was before, and this is kind of how they ended up connecting. He was severely censured on a number of very legitimate points about the problems with his old Exodus model. So Michael took the video down and said he was wrong about this, and he has now changed his mind. And this is the sort of thing that we applaud within scholarship, within research, right? I appreciate it when people have the humility and the intestinal fortitude to come forward and say, I was wrong about this and I've changed my mind. And I'm, disavowing my early position. That's awesome. But then when he made a new video working with Dr. Falk, now defending the Exodus from the perspective that it occurred in the 12th century BCE, this is what apologetics does, right? The conclusion was always there. The goal for Michael Jones was not an historical investigation of the situation in Canaan and Egypt at the end of the Bronze Age and the beginning of the Iron Age. It was not that. It was also not the biblical text and the stories of the Exodus from an historical perspective of when they were written and why. It was not that either. It was the Exodus happened. Now, if the Exodus happened, where is the best period of time to put it? That's it. And that's what apologetics is. It's the conclusion. The Exodus happened, and then compiling the evidence to fit it. Oh no, it can't be the 15th, 16th century anymore because somebody has convinced me that that's all stupid. But you know what? Maybe later, the 12th century. So let's go with that because we know the Exodus happened.
Even though all the evidence is like, hey, there's a whole bunch of nothing here. We checked.
Yeah. So, yeah. All right. Well, it's going on 5:00 Pacific time, and we've been streaming for almost 3 hours.
Right, yeah, it is almost 7:00 here, and I gotta go to work in an hour.
Oh dear. Well, you gotta go, dude.
In an hour, I'll be fine.
Okay. All right. But I really appreciate you coming and hanging out with me, Lawrence, and you too, Nitty. He's not watching anymore.
Yes, of course, Nitty.
He's hanging out with his
Can't forget my Nitty army. No, I got my Nitties out.
That's right. There's still there's a couple more super chats here. Redim Dr. Kiptifer read all of Carrier's books. No, actually, I haven't, because he wrote a bunch of shitty books too that I haven't
also
read.
Is it Vadim or Vadim?
I don't care. I'm just gonna call him Redim. But let us know. Because Lawrence cares.
I know, I do, because I know
yes.
people named Vadim, and they're all Slavic, and that's how they would say that.
Right.
So if it's the, I'm just wondering.
So nice. But thank you for the money, and for pointing out that I haven't read all of Carrier's books.
There's another one here, I see.
This one.
Yes.
Oh God.
I-13, the Bible.
No, I'm forgetting.
This is from the other week, right? Where there was the guy that was like, well, oh my God, how was it though? The word for one.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
So
brilliant. Thank you.
Yeah, 1 equals 13, and then yeah.
So if you're confused, anyone, then you just need to go and watch the last installment of Budget Scripture Saturday, starring Lawrence. Thank you.
Right, yeah.
It was a good time. So but thanks everyone for coming and hanging out.
And make sure you subscribe to the Behold Network.
Did you actually ban
she might have. That sounds like something she would do.
I told her she's and honestly, if you did, it's totally fine. It's fine. It's all good. I'm just curious.
If Vish was here, this had never happened. Such an atrocity.
So and yes, that's true. The Lawrence Kip collab was the best idea you've had all month. So yeah. I agree. It was an excellent idea, but So thanks everyone. I will be on Dapper's channel tomorrow at the good time. We are finally back to streaming at 11 a.m. Pacific, which is 2 p.m. Eastern time. Thank the maker. So I'll be there with Vish tomorrow afternoon. And then, do I have anything else going on? I don't think so. Not before. Oh, wait. I think I am doing something on Dapper's channel on Sunday afternoon. I don't know. It's some bullshit. So go and watch that too. And you, say some stuff. Pitch some.
We're starting on Blasphemous Bible.
On what are you starting?
Job.
Oh God. Tomorrow?
And
at what time?
So it's 11 a.m. Central.
Okay, so that's 9 for me, right?
Yeah. So
I might have to crash that.
And we're also having Chrissy on to do an introduction, because Chrissy is like the best Job scholar I know. So yeah, I'm very very excited to start that.
I have things to say about Job.
I'm sure you do. So yeah, we definitely love to have you there too.
Okay. Well, I will probably crash Blasphemer's Bible tomorrow morning at you said 9 o'clock Central? No, sorry, 11 Central. 11 Central is noon Eastern, 9 o'clock Pacific, right? So yeah, So I won't be able to stay for the whole thing. I'll probably have to bolt to get back to the dinosaurs dungeon. But
sorry. Simone seems a little ticked at me. Yes, saying I'm incredibly insulted that you think Chrissy is a better Job scholar than me. First of all, Chris is a great Job scholar. Second of all, did you want to be on Blasphemous Bible for Job? I'd love to have you on. So that is entirely up to you. I can have you added to the list, to the mailing list, to get a link for it. So
you should be getting the links.
Yeah, Simone. Although I don't think Simone does a lot of public facing stuff. Like, no. So
also she's in New fucking Zealand.
That's right. Which
is
it's gonna be like what, like the middle of the night over there?
Yeah.
No, not the middle of the night. No, it's gonna be at night.
No, it's pretty much it's 22 hours ahead, I believe. It's either 22 or 21 hours ahead. So it's like it's ridiculous. So
it'd be 6 a.m. Okay.
Oh, she has really bad internet too. So
okay.
But I remember this when David McDonald, when we were doing Diablo Critics, we did it at it was when we were doing it at 11 a.m. Pacific time. David was getting up and streaming at like 5 a.m. So yeah, but it's so that'll be fun. And then anything else going on?
I don't know. Oh, I mean, I guess upcoming. I have been getting some help from Chrissy to help me with getting some stuff ready for publication. Because I wrote my capstone paper on Job 26:7, the cosmological background of Job 26:7, because it's really interesting, and I think I could definitely get that published with just a little bit of changes, and it's just the minute stuff that's just like, oh my god, kill me now. So I'm gonna try to get that published, and the next video that I have coming out, I have a few in the works. Next video that's going to be coming out is going to be on the letter of Aristeas and the myth of the 70 translators. Then after that, I'm going to do one on the Council of Rome in 382, which you're going to love the story once you see the video. It's a whole bunch of propagandistic bullshit that's been attached to that.
I love propagandistic bullshit.
I know.
My jam.
It just got attached to the council later. It's fucking under with Damasus, like, excellent. Or with stuff that was attributed to Damasus. I'll get there. And then one big one on Melchizedek.
Oh,
yeah, and what it means to be part of the order of Melchizedek. Yeah.
Oh, dude, you should have. You seriously, you should have been watching my Hebrew stream yesterday with Rabbi Chana, because we read this Psalm 110.
And
honestly, dude, because it's a corrupted text, right? It's a very difficult text. Just in it, like the Hebrews, it's not. There's a lot of verbless clauses. There's a lot of places where I think personally, because you've got multiple. You've got a speaker. You've got a subject in David, but then sometimes it's also talking about Yahweh. Sometimes Yahweh says things, but then there are, and this is with a lot of the Psalms, you'll discover that there are places where the author has the writer of these Psalms, because these were performed texts. So there's certainly places within Psalms where there are changes in speaker that the psalmist never bothered to indicate. And I think this has a pretty significant effect on how you read Psalm 110 as well. I don't know if this is Melchizedek, or if this is just
right. There's a lot of stuff on it. I have
It's
so many notes. I have so many notes so far, and
I'm excited about that. I am excited.
It's going to be a while. It's going to be my next like big video project. So yeah, that was going to take a while, but there's a lot of stuff on it.
There's this weird mix too of war and cult imagery throughout the psalm that I'm not altogether sure what to how to deal with it either. So, but
I'm especially it's wild. Like, I'm definitely going to talk about Psalm 110, Genesis 14.
Yeah,
I want to say and then obviously Hebrews 7 is the big one. So I'm really excited to look more into it, and just kind of how did the Christians interpret this, because it's very interesting what they do with it. But
just a point of clarification here, Grumpy Librarian. If the abrupt change in speakers indicates, and that's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying these are indicative of corruption. There are other parts of the text that have been corrupted, not necessarily relative to the individual speakers. It's just throughout the Psalms, when there are changes of speakers, nobody bothered to indicate that. There's a few places where it's clear, but there's a lot of other places where it's just not. Another example of this is like Psalm 82, right? Psalm 82 works when you understand that there are multiple speakers in the psalm.
Right.
But
otherwise it just doesn't flow.
Yeah. And there's no clear indication where those are, but that's not a result of corruption. That's just because the psalmist knew and assumed everybody else knew as well. So, right. But what does that say about 2nd Isaiah? So I'll just say this. This is kind of, I think I understand what you're getting at. And this is interesting. In 2nd Isaiah this is what was I going to say about that? So in my model,
it does
in my
change
model for the
person a lot.
Yes. Oh, yes. I see. Within the individual servant songs themselves. Yes. 100%. Very true. And that's part of the contention there too. And we will be talking quite a bit about Isaiah 53 in particular next week when Dr. Dan McClellan, New York Times bestseller, Dr. Dan McClellan is going to be on my channel with Vish, and we'll be reviewing a video from Gavin Ortland. So so that's what's going on. And thanks again, everyone, for coming out. Thanks again, Lawrence, for coming out. And we're going to end it for real now. All right. I promise.
Have a good night, everyone.
Yeah. Okay. Bye. Oh, and I almost forgot, Lawrence.
Oh, okay.
Hot Tikva.